So in a world where it's very difficult to get fandoms united about things, we have tribalistic WWE fans, tribalistic AEW fans, I think there is one thing that we can all agree on, and that is that this Backlash card looks pretty ass. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about WWE Backlash 2025. In particular, we are rejigging, revamping and rebooking Backlash to make it better, watchable. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe this show will over-deliver. Maybe this show will be an absolute goat. But as it's looking on paper, this is one of the most underwhelming wrestling cards in a long old time. Now, before we dive into this, please subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below, and I'll try to reply to every single one of them as we dive into this. Starting with the fact that this card is mid. Maybe not even mid, arguably bad, arguably boring. I think that this show is just on paper one of the weirdest cards you could book. You've not got any of your like top stars on it other than Cena, Orton and Becky. You've not got your Punks, your Rollins, Bron Breakker. Who else is a top star in WWE? No Cody. Like, it's pretty poor on paper. And I think what's really got people up in arms about this in particular is the use of some of the talent on the show, like your Gunthers, like your Jey Usos, your Drew McIntyres. It doesn't feel like a big show coming off the biggest show like ever in WrestleMania. They treat it as the biggest show ever, so in their mind, coming off of this mega high of WrestleMania, you have a really hard come down and dose of reality when you look at this card. It is hella underwhelming in my opinion, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I could rant about Pat McAfee versus Gunther. I could rant about Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, but what we're going to do instead is rejig this, rebook this show how I would have done it and do it a little bit differently and better in my opinion. So shall we start with the first match? So there are going to be instances on this list where, it's not really a list, on this rebooking video where I actually don't really have that much to change, because I think there are two matches that can pretty much stay the same, because we've got to go by the fact that this is probably a Triple H, well it is a Triple H book show, but it's going to be in the format of a Triple H book show, and that means there's probably going to be a whole lot, 5 whole matches on this probably 4-hour show, which in my opinion is abysmal. But we're going to start with the 4-way. Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight, versus Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. I don't have any complaints about this. I actually think this is going to be a really fun fatal 4-way. I hope it gets a lot of time. I hope everyone gets a chance to shine. You've got the Priest and the Drew dynamic going into it. You've got LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, their rivalry. I think this is going to be awesome, and I hope it leads into a proper feud between LA Knight and Drew McIntyre, because I think their promos would be awesome. Yeah, I don't have too much to change about this. Next one we'll talk about is Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. I don't have too much to change about this either, other than maybe it could have been a fatal 4-way with Bayley, but she's seemingly written off for God knows how long. Yeah, this is going to be a fun match. There's not too much to say about this. Becky Lynch versus Lyra, got great chemistry. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. Now is where we need to make the changes, people. We need to take some people out of this show, and we're going to start with Pat McAfee versus Gunther. What an absolute waste of Gunther coming off his world title loss. He is feuding with an announcer. Granted, Pat McAfee can probably go in the ring. Last time I remember him having a decent match was like, 2019, 2020? In his feud with Adam Cole in NXT. I just don't, this is not what you should be doing with Gunther. Gunther is a machine, he is a monster, and you damaged him pretty badly coming off that loss to Jey Uso. So, how do you fix this? How do you do this right? How do you get him, like, revamp Gunther. Sure, you could have him kill Pat McAfee, but we've already seen him kill Jey Uso in that way. You have him in a competitive match with someone who is becoming beloved with the crowd. Swap out Pat McAfee. I want a singles match between Gunther and Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross has gained an awful lot of momentum in the eyes of fans. He's getting huge pops whenever he appears on screen in WWE. He did that awesome shoot video following WrestleMania. He has been someone who fans have naturally been getting behind, and he's not being featured on TV as much as we like. He literally just lost a match to Dragon Lee on Main Event, which I don't think at this point Karrion Kross should be losing, as much as I love Dragon Lee. Putting him in there with Gunther, a fan favourite, Karrion Kross, going against a despised heel in Gunther, big meaty men, slapping meat. It's something different. It's something a little bit unexpected. Something Gunther can maybe, if you want to add dimension to the ring general character, Karrion Kross getting in the head of Gunther a little bit. There's ways you could have done it. I don't think going the Pat McAfee route was the way to do it. I think instead Karrion Kross versus Gunther would have been a better match, would have been a more entertaining feud, and would have been what we wanted as fans. Next up, we'll talk about Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. We haven't got an official match graphic for this match yet, but it looks like this is the way it's going to go. Don't like Logan Paul. He's a knob, obviously. Don't want him in this position. This is probably not going to be a good match because Logan Paul isn't particularly a good wrestler. He can do the high spots, but that's about it. He can't really tell stories in the ring, and I think he gets overpraised for what he brings to a wrestling match. Jey Uso is over with the fans. The Yeet is pretty over. He's not an amazing wrestler either. I think they have missed a trick here. A pretty easy one. There is an easy, obvious contender to go straight for Jey Uso, and that is Rusev. Rusev made his return on Raw to feud with the Alpha Academy, of all people, and that slots him in at that level. He will be at Alpha Academy level, and that's not a very high level. You have him interrupt Jey Uso's promo, his opening promo as World Heavyweight Champion, and then you have a Rusev monster destroying Jey at every turn, putting on a pretty competitive match at Backlash, and then maybe Jey flukes it out, or he has to use like 10 super kicks to eventually just get Rusev on the mat. I think there's a way that you could have protected Rusev in the loss and also given Jey a really credible contender, because the thing with Logan Paul is he's lost a hell of a lot of title matches. He lost against Cody, he lost against Roman, he lost his US title. Like, sure, he beat AJ, but what does that mean at this point, beating AJ Styles? I think a Rusev versus Jey Uso match might not have been the best in ring, but it would have featured both guys and emphasized both guys' strengths, a monster and someone who can really get the crowd behind them when they're in that position. Yeah, I think Rusev slotted into a world title match as soon as he comes in. That would have elevated him loads. And Jey Uso, he needed a big feud coming off WrestleMania, and Logan Paul, he's not it. And finally, we have, for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, John Cena versus Randy Orton. Now, I was fucking racking my brain as to what to do with this match, because they have had so many matches. There are so many matches, so many stipulations, Iron Man, Last Man Standing, singles, four ways. They've been in so many matches together that trying to find a stipulation or something to sort of just add a little bit of energy to this match, because that is what I'm worried about this match. It is going to be painfully dull. So I was trying to think of what sort of stip you could add to this match, because they want to do the match. They want to do Cena versus Orton as heel Cena versus face Orton. They want to do that. So, okay, what stip can you do with this match? Which stip enhances both guys' in-ring ability? I don't think they'd ever do it, but this is fantasy booking. The stipulation that I think should have been added to this match is a dog collar match. I think having both guys tied together, maybe they've had a strap match, I don't know, probably, but I think having both guys tied by the neck, tied to each other, MJF CM Punk style, Brody Lee, Cody Rhodes style, I think that could emphasize both guys' strengths. They could make it a bit more brutal. You could maybe have Randy Orton get some colour, John Cena get some colour, and just add a little bit more violence. And because this isn't going to be a great wrestling match. This isn't going to be a technical masterclass. It's John Cena versus Randy Orton. So having the dog collar stip, which can be a bit slower, but emphasize the violence more, I think that is the way you can get a more subdued but enjoyable experience from this match. Because if this is just those two wrestling, it's going to be a sleepy time for us who are watching it. So I think a dog collar match added to this match, dog collar step, would make all the sense in the world. And I really wish they would pull the trigger on a different strap match as well. Maybe just as long as you're not tapping the corners. Yeah, this should have been a dog collar match. And that is how I would rebook Backlash. That is what I would do. I'd also probably have a tag match on there, because that makes things different. We saw the TLC match. Why the fuck was the TLC match not on WrestleMania? We're probably going to get a banging tag match on like the Go Home show on SmackDown or something like that. But you've got people like DIY. You've got people like the Motor City Machine Guns and the Street Profits. Why aren't the tag teams getting featured heavily on pay-per-views? Add a tag match in there. Motor City Machine Guns versus Street Profits, because that'd be cool. Yeah, that is what I would do. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. What would you do? How would you rebook Backlash? Do you think it looks good? Let me know and I'll try and apply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.